Hello and welcome to Superintendent's Corner. I'm your host, Marnie Ryan. Well, today, of course, we have Superintendent Mr. Bill Hall. How are you?
Well, hey, Marnie, I'm good to be here. I'm doing great. I tell you what, the school year is progressing rapidly, and it's hard to believe. I think somebody said the other day there's 70-some days left of school.
No way.
I can't believe it. Where has this school year gone?
I don't know.
I know. A lot of good things happening, though. A lot of good things happening.
You know, every time there's always, like you said, there's always something going on. 305 has just really just got so many different programs and kids and students and teachers doing great things, and you and your staff are doing great things as well.
Well,
So,
thank you. I appreciate that. And I tell you what, we have so many good people in our school system, and you know, from all of our teachers who are very dedicated and professional and work very, very hard, to all of our leadership, and then, you know, all of our support staff. We couldn't make it happen without everyone's contribution. So we're very, very fortunate to have great people.
now tell me, where is the school district at, kind of like on the bond issue that passed?
Well, I tell you, I get that question a lot. You know that.
Why is that?
Well, I tell you, the bond issue passed last April of 2014, is a $110 million bond issue. And so here we are almost a year later, and folks are saying, okay, when are we going to start seeing some building going on here? Well, I will tell you, there's been a lot of things happening in the background. We've been working on design projects. Thus far, the Board of Education has approved 10 different schematic designs. Okay, that's the first step. So those particular projects are now well into the design development. As a matter of fact, 2 of our schools have already gone out to bid. We have Oakdale and Coronado have actually gone out to bid. So we're going through the bidding process right now. Probably within the next 30 days, we'll have some bids to come back for the Board of Education to consider. And so we can start seeing projects happen there, breaking ground on those projects probably about April or May. But then once that starts, it's going to be 3 years of construction, you know, and every school in the school system will be touched, and every building will be touched in some fashion. So it's exciting. Obviously, we get a lot of questions about South High and Central High, and you know, I can understand that. We have, out of the $110 million bond issue, they represent about $76 million. So the lion's share of it are those 2 high schools. And right now, South High is about a month ahead in the design process, ahead of Central. Exciting that the schematic design for South High will go to the Board of Education February 24th for approval, and once they approve that, then it will move on to design development. Central High is about a month behind that, so we're kind of looking toward the end of March. But we expect possibly mid to late summer we'll start seeing some activity as far as construction at South High. So it's exciting, a lot of good things happening.
What is the challenges like for yourself and the administrators with the construction going on at the schools and not affecting the learning, and how does that work?
Well, that's a very good question, and that's one of the processes. That's probably more so an issue that we need to really be carefully watching for our 2 high schools, because just with the sheer volume and the size of those projects. Not as much with our elementary now. And aside on the elementaries, is essentially they're, excuse me, we're adding a couple of classroom additions for all-day kindergarten. That's exciting. A lot of folks are saying, okay, when's that going to happen? 2016-17, we'll have all-day K, and I'll talk about that here in just a few moments. But we're essentially adding that onto each of our elementaries, as well as a multi-purpose room, which will serve as a storm shelter. So it's not as large a project, and those are in areas that probably won't impact what's happening on a day-to-day basis in the school. So I think those will be fine. Our 2 middle schools, Lakewood Middle School, that building's relatively new. It's pretty much new from the last bond issue. And so that's just adding on a couple additions and doing some school security. South High is a little more involved, and so there's going to be some issues. But with our 2 high schools, I tell you, the biggest trick with South High, you know, we have the 3 pods.
Yes.
And essentially, those 3 pods will go away.
Wow.
And it's going to be a completely different looking building. And but we're fortunate that the preliminary designs we're trying to phase it in such a manner, because I've had kids say, okay, does that mean we've got 2.5 years without school? Well, no, it doesn't quite work that way. But we are working a design to where we can minimize the phasing. So actually, 2 of the pods, it appears at this point, will stay intact throughout the construction process. The other pod will have a wing that will go through it, but that one we can do toward the end. So we believe at this point in time that we can minimize the phasing. Students will be able to attend in the existing pods for the time being until we get parts of the new building built, and we kind of relocate them over. So the phasing is looking really pretty good right now, as is the case with Central. Central is a lot more renovation. We're doing some things such as obviously school safety and security. We're upgrading our science wing. We're upgrading Career and Tech Ed, and I definitely want to talk about Career and Tech Ed, because a lot of good things happening there. But it's much more renovation as opposed to replacing a large part of the building. So we're fortunate that we believe that once the designs are in place, we'll be able to minimize disruption to the educational process, because school will continue.
School will remain in session.
They heard it. They heard it straight here. We will continue with school.
All right, very good. Well, you know, the funny thing too, real quickly about South, the very first time I ever was asked to speak at South High, the pods, I'd never been in a building like that. And one nice thing about South, if you get lost, it's one big circle.
Well, yeah, you really can't get lost. If you just keep walking, you'll kind of come out where you went in.
Yes.
Basically, it is a circle. But you know, the concept was different back then. That was back when it was built back in 1972. We had our first classes go through. It was built on that open classroom concept, which back in the 70s were pretty typical for school architecture. We've gone away from that. This particular design, I think folks will see more traditional. That it'll be a two-story structure at South as opposed to just a single structure. We will see closed-in rooms. We will have walls. We will have doors. We will have outside lighting. And so it's just going to be a completely different look. I've seen some of the preliminary designs, and it's really, truly exciting what's happening there. So.
Now, tell me, what makes you the most excited about all-day kindergarten?
Well, I tell you what, and I've had the opportunity I've seen programs where I've been in prior districts where we had a half-day program, and then we moved to a full-day program. And just the development of the students with that additional half-day. I mean, you see students, little ones come in, and at age 5, kindergarten age, and where they are in terms of just learning what the school environment's like. And it takes them a while to figure that out, you know, and just to learn to be able to sit and engage and stay on task and listen and you know, kind of be able to just learn how to learn and learn how to get along with others. When we've had a full day program and just comparing students that had the half day versus the full day, the students in the half day and the full day program were so much further developed in terms of maturation, in terms of just being ready for the first grade, being able to sit and to listen and to learn how to get along with their peers. And so it makes a tremendous difference. And so I am excited about that, because you know, our goal in USD 305, and we talked about this at length with the Board of Education this past summer, and then even through a most recent retreat that we had, isn't just increasing the graduation rate. You know, that's not good enough anymore. Our goal is that 100% of our students will graduate, every one of them.
Wow.
But it's not so much that they'll graduate, we want to make sure that they graduate college and career ready, that we have provided them the opportunities to move on to the next stage of their life, whatever they want to do. If they want to go on to post-secondary, that's great. We have programs to get you there. If you want to go to a technical school, we have those opportunities. If you want to join the military, we want to make sure that we have opportunities that provided to you that help you be successful there. If you want to go to a four-year institution, a four-year college, four-year university, we want to make sure we get you there. So we're working on that, but all-day kindergarten, a lot of folks wouldn't think of it this way, but absolutely has a direct connection in terms of what happens to students throughout their 12-year K-12 educational career. So it is important that we get them started off on the right foot.
I'll never forget my daughter not too long ago, the transition from going to kindergarten to first grade. I remember the first week of school, she's like, I'm so tired.
Oh, hey.
You know, because the half day to the full day, it was a big adjustment for her.
It is a big adjustment, and it's interesting you should mention that. We had a calendar committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, and the board actually approved the calendar for 15-16 and 16-17. We always try to approve it 2 years out. Interesting, 16-17 is the first year that we will have all-day kindergarten. And we looked at the calendar, and I believe Christmas that year happens to fall on a Sunday. And so we always kind of, you know, how long should Christmas break be or winter break be? And so we talked about that. Well, then we went back and we looked at the first day of school. When should the first day of school? That first day of school will be on a Thursday. And we thought about it, and we thought, you know, that's probably not a bad idea, especially with all-day kindergarten. That first week will be a 2-day week. We're not sure those little tykes are ready for a full day right off the bat. And as I shared with folks, and with teachers, I've seen this kind of work. You know, one of the things that we really have to work on diligently the first week or 2 weeks with little ones, with kindergarten kids, is how to eat at school.
Oh,
they've never eaten at school. So how to get their tray, how to deposit their tray and throw things out, and without, I mean, one year in a district I was in, we did that in the first year. In the first day we had like mashed potatoes and gravy. That was not a good selection on the first day of school, especially with those little ones trying to figure that out. So it's going to be a transition, but I am so excited because I do believe, absolutely believe, and the research supports this, that this will be so good for our kids in terms of having them ready to go for first grade. We're very excited about it. And I know a lot of parents are excited about it too.
Well, definitely, because you had such a wonderful, the voters, they decided this is very important. They really backed up 305 and said we want to go forward with the bond issue. So it's wonderful.
Absolutely. And I can't say enough about the support that we received from the Salina community. And everything that we visit with the Salina community about the bond issue, whether it was the importance of all-day kindergarten, whether it was the need to expand our career and technical education opportunities, whether it was school safety and security, which is a vital component of what we're doing with the storm shelters and then the controlled entry points at all of our schools. It really truly seemed to resonate with our community and with our parents. And I think that came out in the ballot and in the vote. It was a 60%, 40% vote, 60% in favor, with 51% turnout. I mean, that was really, to me, I think a resounding voice from our community saying, go for it, we get it, we understand it, let's do this.
Yeah, and especially too, they talk about voter turnout all the time, and that was really very, very positive. So this got, good pat on the back.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. But it was the whole district. We had a lot of people involved in that, and so it went well. And the key on that was communication, and not just that, but allowing our community to be part of the process. Because in a lot of ways, our community helped design that concept. Because we had community meetings, we received input from folks, and so in the end, what was on the ballot, what they voted on, was what the community told us that they could support. So it all turned out well. So we are excited.
Good. Wow, that. It surprises me that your graduation rate is good anyway, but just that's a really interesting, that's a big goal, 100%.
Well, it is.
You'll do it though.
It is. We believe we will. And,
yes.
and I tell you right now, and I believe the last time our graduation rate is climbing. And it has increased every year for the last 5 years. And so,
wonderful.
We continue to do that, but the goal is 100%. We want every one of our kids to graduate from high school. And so we have opportunities available to them to make that happen.
And I love what you're talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a new or different programs as far as the technical education, career-oriented?
Yes, our career and technical education program. Now we have a really good partnership with Salina Area Technical College, and we have a number of our students who take courses out of Salina Area Technical College. But with that, and this was part of the bond issue, there was a real need to upgrade our career and tech ed facilities at both of our two high schools. And with that, we developed a partnership with our community and the Salina Chamber of Commerce to reach out to our business community and say, okay, what are those jobs that are going to be most important to our community now and well into the future? And not just that, but what are the most critical skills that our students need to have if they come to you upon graduation from high school, if they come to you 2 years after graduating from high school, for you to consider them as a viable employee, what skills do they need to have? And so we've had those conversations, and from those we've received some ideas in terms of some additional programs that we're going to add. Obviously, we've already upgraded, before the bond issue, the manufacturing, the welding shop over at Central. We're going to expand that, and we're going to add machine tool as a result of the bond issue. We're looking at expanding our drafting program at both high schools. Over at South, we're going to have a construction program, so that's going to be more building construction. And so kids who want to learn how to build homes, for instance, can go to South, and we even have kind of big picture. We might even build homes, and sell homes once they're finished. And so that kids can learn the process from the ground up. So manufacturing probably more based at Central. The construction pathway will be more at South. But then we have a number of other ones that we're looking at adding. For instance, broadcasting. What we're doing here today. And you and I have had some preliminary conversations, but at this point, we're looking at both of our two high schools having broadcasting studios, similar to what we have here today, and with the mixing equipment and the editing equipment and the green wall, and just learn that whole process of video production. And excited about the possibility of having partnerships with Access TV, because my gosh, what better way for our kids to get out on the air and to inform our community about what's happening at both South High School and Central High School. And for our kids, it's an unbelievable learning experience.
Definitely. I mean, anymore, it just amazes me how much younger and younger kiddos get, and they're so into technology, and they're so smart. And I mean, it just... I was saying earlier, my daughter plays on my iPad, and she is video software on my iPad.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing.
Well, and students these days, I mean, they're, as much as we learned about technology on the back end, I mean, they grew up with it.
Yes.
And it's so seamless for them, and so they know so much about it. And so, I'm excited about that. We're looking at doing some post-secondary partnerships, possibly with K-State Salina, maybe even Kansas Wesleyan with computer programming and computer networking. And we're looking at such things as the CNA program at one of our 2 high schools, Certified Nurse's Aide, and having that there while students could still do it out at Salina Area Technical College. So students will still graduate with as a Certified Nurse's Aide or a Certified Med Aide and become employable immediately. You know, we're looking at such things as FACS, which is Family and Consumer Science. But it used to be what, when we went to school, we called it home ec,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But now we're looking at industry type of facilities. Something you'd see on like MasterChef. And you see that, right?
Yes.
So we would have facilities comparable to that in our 2 high schools where students can learn the business side of restaurant management and what that looks like, and maybe even do some entrepreneurship type programs. So that's exciting. So we're just very, very fortunate to be able to, with the passage of the bond issue, to be able to provide so many more opportunities for our students. Opportunities that, you know, ideally when they graduate from high school, I would love for every one of our students to have an industry recognized certification when they graduate from high school. And so irrespective of what they want to do. You know, you may have a certification as a welder. You may have a certification in some type of a culinary arts program, and then go on, but still have that to fall back on. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But it is really exciting for our kids.
Man, high school has changed.
It's not. It is. It just isn't the same as it used to be.
I would have liked it a lot better if it was this way when I was. I mean, not that I had a bad school experience, but
no, it is exciting, and you know, and we've surveyed the students when we were looking at the different pathways, and the kids were really excited about the fact that, you mean we could learn some of these things in high school? You know, things like fire science. We're looking at offering something like that, or EMT.
wow.
And so they're really exciting. It's just going to provide more opportunities.
Definitely, and what a great way too, if they're curious but not sure what path they want to take, to get their feet wet, get a good idea.
Absolutely.
That is just a great asset.
Well, and it falls right in line. I mean, all this, whether it's all-day kindergarten, whether it's expanding our career tech ed, I mean, the bond projects absolutely will provide the infrastructure and the facilities to get us there. But the programming is so critically important because it's all part of our larger vision, which is 100% of our kids will graduate college and career ready. And that conversation needs to start much younger than the high school. I mean, a lot of folks are saying, okay, you get to high school, what do you think you want to do with the rest of your life? And we really need to start having that conversation when kids are still in elementary school even. And we're not saying, you know, to a 5th grader, you have a 5th grader. You have a fourth grader, you have a 4th grader.
Almost
so we're not going to you and your daughter saying, okay, what's your daughter's name? Karen, you need to make up your mind what you're going to do after high school. Because, you know, that's not realistic. But we need to provide opportunities for students to explore what's out there.
Definitely.
You know, and so that when they get to the middle school and then they get to the high school, then they can start making some decisions about, you know, I want to take these series of classes that will get me closer to what I'm really interested in. That way it makes the high school experience much more meaningful.
Definitely.
Other than go in, get your 4 English, get your 3 math, get your 3 science, you know. I mean, that's kind of the way we used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And we do it to a certain extent, but it's providing more opportunities for kids to take things that they really care about. So we're excited about that.
And as far as the teachers, how are they responding to the changes in the schools and the classes? Are they very receptive to it?
They are, actually. I mean, they understand that it's beyond, it's more than just what's happening right now. They understand that we're looking at the big picture in terms of making sure that our kids are prepared for life after high school. So they're very, very open to having those conversations. But, you know, let's face it, our bread and butter, our basic skills got to be there.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have strong reading skills. We have to have strong math skills. We need to really beef up our science instruction. I mean, those are things that we need to do anyway, because we want to make sure that we have well-rounded students. They have to have those basic skills, and that's so critically important. So with that, I mean, we're really looking at effective reading instruction. We're very, very fortunate with what our scores have been doing in that area. Mathematics has been doing really well at the elementary level. We're seeing those scores increase, but you can't replace those basic skills. We have to continue to provide solid instruction at those levels.
And I think, it's just so wonderful the kids will see how those basic skills relate into whatever field profession they decide to go into. I remember when I was younger, I used to think, I am never going to need certain aspects of math in what I do. And I couldn't have been more wrong.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's that age-old question, and I've always told teachers, myself as a teacher when I taught, that, you know, students have every right to ask the question, you know, why are we even studying this? You know, what does this mean? And as a teacher, you need to have an answer for that, because you need to make it meaningful to the students. It can't be just because we have to, just because it's history, just do it. You know, and it really needs to be meaningful, and it has to have real-world application. So it is something that we continue to work with our students on. But we believe that we're moving forward, and again, we just couldn't do it without the outstanding people that we have.
Yes, definitely. Well, so there's been some interesting thing in the news lately about our state.
Yes. You really want to go there?
Oh, well, no, but have you had any concerns from parents or people in the community just wondering how it'll affect us?
I think everyone's concerned about what the impact will be on school funding. You know, I always share with folks that where 52% of the state general fund budget is K-12 education, and the fact that the state is experiencing some pretty major budget deficits right now. I know that the legislature, as we speak, today, they're currently working on closing the gap for the current fiscal year. Very, very soon, in the next week or so, they'll start working on what's going to happen for fiscal year 16. So when K-12 is such a large part of the budget, it is cause for concern, because if there are reductions, typically it wouldn't, you know, it's not going to be surprising if K-12 has to endure some of those. That being said, I mean, we want to focus on the positive things that are happening in our classroom.
Definitely.
We want to focus on the fact that we're, I believe, making a difference in the lives of kids every single day. We want to focus on the fact that we have tremendous support from our parent groups. And without that support, we would not be as successful as we are. And so that being the case, you know, we're going to continue to work through whatever reductions come our way. We do have some reserves set aside. We will utilize those. We're going to do our level best. I've visited with the Board of Education. Obviously, our number one goal is to protect our students and to protect our programs and to continue with the solid instruction that we have been fortunate to be able to offer thus far. And we're going to continue that. We're going to do everything we can to keep that from changing. But it is cause for concern, because with such a large gap at the state level, you know, it's a challenge. It is a challenge.
Well, and you know, the proof is, like you've said, consistently in the last 5 years, how the scores keep on improving, students keep on doing better, the graduation rates keep on raising. So clearly, what's being done is working and working very well for the students.
It is, and there's some research out there. The state of Kansas, in the state of Kansas, particularly, our students are in the top 10 on what they call the NAEP score, which is a nationwide testing that's given, I believe, to students in 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th, I believe. I'm not completely sure. But our scores are very, very competitive in the top 10, yet we lag behind in terms of school funding, especially when it comes to like teacher salaries, and we're in the bottom 10 in that area. So, you know, we need to work on that. And you know, education is so critically important. It's an investment in our future, both locally and across the state and across the nation. So, you know, it's important that folks come to understand that without the resources, we can't make the difference that we have been able to in the past. So we're going to keep working at it. You know, we're succeeding in spite of all that.
Yes, definitely.
And we're going to continue to do that.
Well, and also too, you have, like we talked earlier, USD 305 has such strong community support, and I just can't imagine for one second that you know, they wouldn't rally behind if that needed to be. Whatever measures needed to be taken, you know.
Absolutely. I tell you what, you know, when and you just don't have to go any further than the bond election. You know, when we had that much support.
Yes.
You know, and to me, absolutely, and that was such a vote of confidence in our school system for folks to say, yeah, we get it. We need to do this. This is important for our community. It's important for our kids, and for future generations of kids. That we need to do this, and we need to support that, and so it's so critically important. And so much of what we do is just it's about making sure that every student who's enrolled at any time in Salina Public Schools has equitable opportunities for learning or for participation. And so we've done a lot of things to help with that. I mean, gosh, we've done some things this year. Chromebooks. I think we did a story on Chromebooks.
We did do a story on Chromebooks.
Gosh,
and I know kids love them. I know kids love them.
Have you talked to some of the kids that have Chromebooks?
I do. I have, and they love them dearly.
I know, and some of the kids that we've talked, we actually had a presentation before the board this past Tuesday, had some kids come and talk about it. And students are so ingenious. I mean, they're just so with technology. It's just amazing. But I tell you what, when you know, our Chromebooks have been a solid move for our kids. We've had a lot of input from kids. It allows them to do research. It really levels the playing field. We've had students who may not have had access to technology in the past. Now they do. Yeah. And it really it integrates instruction with technology, and so that was extremely important. So Chromebooks is going well. It's a good thing, and we're kind of looking to see, okay, what's our next step in terms of K through 12, and what technology is going to look like there. You know, one of the things that we're going to be looking at in the future is the importance of kids learning keyboarding skills at earlier age, so that when they get to the technology, in their middle school and high school years, they're more adept at utilizing it. But kids are really good at keyboarding if you ask them.
Yes.
You know, but their idea of keyboarding is different than when you and I were.
Definitely.
This isn't really keyboarding, but
yeah.
learning how to do that and with the songs and the music and everything else. But
now tell me this. Chromebooks are right now utilized in the high school, but was
Yes.
there some discussion about possibly having that in middle school as well?
Possibly. Now, we still have to have that conversation with the board. We have a technology committee that's kind of looking at that right now. A lot of the laptops that were at the high school, now they have the Chromebooks. We had other laptops. We're probably relocating those to our middle schools. But as I said, you know, Chromebooks, it's kind of I would say it's a pilot because we do have the one-to-one and it's going very, very well, but it's also an opportunity to look into the durability of the Chromebook and the applications of the Chromebook and what it can offer. And thus far, it's been a real success story. And then for the price, I mean, the cost is very, very affordable. And so from that standpoint, we're kind of thinking, you know, there might be a future for Chromebook, whether it be in our middle schools, maybe even our elementaries, not necessarily a one-to-one where they take it home, but that type of a device where they can use them in the classroom, and it would be more efficient and would do a lot of the same things that a regular laptop would do. You know, we're focusing a lot on Google Apps for Education, which, you know, students can do their assignments, they store them on the cloud, so to speak, and everything is virtual, you know, so they can go home and they can get back on there and open it up and continue working on it. So, you know, it's just really exciting, the prospects. So we're continuing to look at what the applications will be district-wide.
One of the things I've always enjoyed about the school board meetings is I love in the beginning how the presentations and wide range of presentations, whether it's, you know, I mean, it's excellence and you're honoring the kids in every area, but the very first time I started recording the 305 school meetings, my child wasn't in school yet, and I couldn't believe how many different activities kids get awarded for. I mean, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if the track team went to state. I mean, you really honor all kids, and that is wonderful. And I love how they shake all the board members' hands. I think that is so special.
Yes, we had that just Tuesday evening. We had Superintendent's Excellence Awards, and my goodness, the number of kids that came out for that, I would bet we probably had 100 students or more who were there. And parent supports, parents coming out, taking pictures, and you know, we had a very crowded boardroom. And I love having a very crowded boardroom for that reason.
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
when we have that many people who are lining up, even outside the door waiting to get in, that's positive.
Definitely.
But that's a testament to the good work of our kids. We just have extremely talented students. Yeah, across the district, both high schools, middle schools, we just have talented kids.
You know, really, that is so true. Not being from Salina, I was really pleasantly surprised at just the talent and like I said earlier, all realms, not just, you know, vocal talent, acting talent, or anything like that. Just the skills of the students here just amazes me.
Without a doubt. And gosh, along those lines, I got to put a plug in here. We did add something new. We added bowling.
You know, I remember that.
Yes, we did.
Tell me about bowling.
Oh my goodness, we started that. I'm really passionate, not because I'm a great bowler, but I see how it provides opportunities for kids. And we started that in both of our two high schools. We had the first, the season actually started in January, early in January. We had tryouts last November. And the first meet was the first or second week in January at the All-Star Lanes here in Salina. And it was really neat just going out and watching kids because, no, I mean, the bowling alley was packed, obviously. We had 4 different schools there, and Mark Martin, who's the owner and operator of All-Star Lanes, has been an excellent partner with the school system. But to see all the kids come out, and the families come out, and the parking lot's full, and there's buses in the back, and it's just, it was such a neat feeling. Then to walk in, and there's literally, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80 kids who otherwise wouldn't have anything to do if they weren't there participating in bowling. So it is exciting. It does appeal to a certain group of kids, and my goodness, we've already had one of our students bowl a perfect game.
Really?
Yes, it's pretty amazing. So it's exciting.
I would never do that. If I went bowling with your students, I would need the bumpers. So.
Well, yeah, likewise. Me too. Me too. My goal is to get the ball from point A to point B without going off on the side. But I don't necessarily try to hit. But I mean, these kids are talented. They're really, really talented. And
it just, again, it's great and just shows the dedication of USD 305 and all the opportunities they give the students. And it's just such a benefit that we have people like yourself and your teachers, administrators, and everybody who's so dedicated, and like you said, the support staff. And 305 always has something going on.
Well, it's exciting. It's exciting. And again, we just couldn't do that. I can't say this enough without the support of the community. And so
Definitely.
we're very, very fortunate. But a lot of good things happening.
Yes, well, we have to wrap up.
Okay.
But I know you'll be back with more
Hey,
exciting things to come.
you know, this is Superintendent's Corner.
This is.
And so I do plan on being back. Again, here we are in February, and we have roughly, what, about 12 to 15 weeks of school left. And it's going to go
amazing.
very, very quickly.
Yes.
It's going to go very, very quickly. And so I would like to come back probably
do.
later this spring before the school year's out,
All right.
and talk some more. Let
All
folks
right.
know what's happening in 305.
Very good. Well, we
All
will
right.
be excited for you to come back. And
Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you so much.
appreciate
and thank
it.
you so much for watching.